Thank you for coming to watch Dr. Smith's video today. We encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the alert button. That way you can get notifications when he uploads a new video. Thank you for coming today.
So we hope you take the time to hear and think about it. And if you have a book, read in the book about the concept and the topics that we talk about. They have a lasting effect. The intent is not necessarily to treat pain, but to make permanent, long-term correction with your whole family and your friends.
Thank you. Make sure you subscribe and hit the alert button. Have a good day.
Have a good day. So today, to start with, I would like to have you think of in the book, the bucket. So think of yourself as a bucket, either big or small, I don't care, a bucket. When I examine a patient, I like to know a couple of things about them as a whole. Number one, what kind of a bucket is it? Is it the body? Is the body like when you buy it at Walmart for $2? Cheap, thin plastic will last through Memorial Day weekend and it's gone, broken, or does a person have the kind of bucket or body you buy from Ace Hardware that's stainless steel? When you die, you're going to give it to your kids and they're going to give it to their kids. It's going to be around a long time. That's number one. What kind of a bucket is it? What kind of a body is it? Number two, how full is it of energy? Is it almost full? Is it low? Is it really low? Maybe it's empty or near empty. To me, that's important, and that's why we do tests. The Ragnus test is a quick, easy way to determine somewhat the fullness, the energy available. So when you stand up and the blood pressure goes up, to me that means your body's, wherever it is, whether it's down here or up here, right now it's in the process of filling back up. Then we ask the question, if it's not clear full, why? So I think of holes in the bucket. The holes in the bucket can be in the bottom, they can be in the sides. I like to think of it as like the triangle looking down from the top. And 1/3 of it is mental, emotional, spiritual. 1/3 of it is chemical. 1/3 of it is structural. So looking down from the top, the bucket has 3 separate compartments that flow together. So sometimes when I examine a person, the main big hole is structure. They have a lot of deviation, a lot of imbalance. They have a lot of wobbles when they walk. Sometimes they have many minor problems. I saw a lady who had pretty good overall appearance, but she had a lot of minor stuff. And the minor stuff drained the bucket down. So I'm talking structure. Sometimes the major issue, the big hole, is mental or emotional or spiritual. It's the top part. Sometimes it's chemical. Not enough food, not enough assimilation, not enough elimination, but we look for the big holes. So that's the basic concept. I gave a class a long time ago, and about a month later I had a lady come to see me and sat down in the reception room with her, or the exam room with her, and said, "So what's your main issue, your main concern?" She said, "My bucket. I have a lot of holes in my bucket, and my bucket is really low." Well, she understood. And so her question was, I know that's my problem. I have a lot of holes in all 3 areas. What do I do? So my answer then, and my answer to you today is, we like to plug the big holes first. What that means in life is we try to fix the biggest energy drain, wherever it is, early. Now I'm going to go on pause and tell you a story that's in the book. You've probably read it, you've probably heard it, but just a quick review. But think of the bucket. We have a bucket, we'll put 3 big rocks in the bucket. Do we then say the bucket's full?
No. It's not full.
No. Why?
Have lots of
There's
small.
lots of space.
There's more space. So we put smaller rocks in the bucket. And it's now full of small rocks. Is the bucket full?
No.
No. Why?
Still more space in there.
What more can we put in?
Sand.
Sand. We put sand in it. Shake it down. Now it's all solid. It's not moving. Is the bucket full?
Probably not. You can put some water in there.
Water. There you go. Bingo. So, perfect. So that's the foundation of what we're going to talk about. So if you have a hole in your bucket, usually there's a small where the water leaks out. Or do you have a big hole quick? Usually.
It starts with small.
Starts with small. We call it a leaky bucket.
Got a hole in your bucket.
There was.
We have a small hole. And I said to you before, you have repetitive micro trauma. And that could be in our lives, it could be something very simple. For example, I saw a lady last night who works really hard. She's one of the caretakers of the grounds around the temple. Big girl. And she said last night when I checked her, and her ankle was turned, she said, I've been waiting for my new shoes because my old shoes were crooked. Now, what caused the old shoes to wear crooked?
Not standing.
Pardon?
She's not standing correctly.
She's not standing correctly.
Or walking.
She's not walking correctly. Something in her body is out of alignment. So that then caused the shoes to wear. I asked her about this. She's cleaning the snow out of the yard that they piled up around the temple. She's been driving the Bobcat. Well, she had a lot of torque in her ribs, and I asked her if the seat was balanced, because a lot of people who drive a lot or spend a lot of time will slide over the lane, and pretty soon they seats like this, or they're watching TV and they always scoot over and they slide down and put the right butt, and bend over time, bend the cushion so the cushion's not straight. So that causes, again, repetitive microtrauma. So those are the little things structurally. Now, I'll pass this out. Let's go to the handout. The handout is called Big Rocks First. So, I have given you 2 sheets. They're stapled together.
I have a mini question, maybe not this.
That was a good time.
Okay, what about sad? This weather that we've had lately has really influenced my disposition and my emotions, and I don't want to do anything, or
You need a little sunshine in your life.
I need some sunshine in my life, yes.
Is there an extra copy?
It's coming.
It's kind but in the meantime, is there something besides
In the
sad life?
In the meantime,
Let's see what.
when you have any kind of increase in stress. The general rule for that is to counter stress. Okay? Now, if you're tired, what does your body send you?
Bad.
You need more rest.
Because normally our body should be able to handle it all. But we're so deficient and out of alignment in many areas, we need to start at the basic, which is rest and water.
And what?
Water.
So, okay, now let's go to the handout. You said rest and water. Where would rest fit into that big rock? Where is it? Is rest chemical? Is rest structural? Is rest mental? Or is it, could it be both?
Oh. Well, except for spiritual law.
Especially mental and structural.
It's very common, exceptionally common, at all ages, to not have adequate rest. And when you have rest deficiency, all other factors are affected negatively. I saw a lady recently from Rexburg who's very good at maintaining her bucket. She does the structure good, she does it the T-zone, she does it all the self-care, the cycloslide, occipital release, microcranial, she does it faithfully, she's good at it. She's very good with her nutrition, with diet, with supplementation. She's a real believer in adequate. In fact, I think generous supplementation, and that's what I believe in, generous supplementation. Why? Because the soils don't have it. They have to support. And I took a regulus test and it was headed down a little bit. So in assessing further, the hole in the bucket was lack of sleep. Now, is that a big rock, a small rock, sand or water?
Big rock.
What?
Big rock.
It's a big rock for her. So this is individual. That's why I didn't fill it up for you, because each one of you may have a different rock that needs to go in the bucket to fill up the bucket. Maybe not plug the hole, but energy in the bucket. We're talking about energy. Health is energy, an abundance of energy. Lack of health is a lack of energy. And your body does not do what the medical people do. Your body does not diagnose, oh, I have rheumatoid arthritis. The body doesn't know what rheumatoid arthritis is. The body just knows that the joints are out of alignment. And if you have rheumatoid arthritis, the chemistry is out of alignment too. It's always a combination of at least two things, and usually three. People who have rheumatoid arthritis are generally, as a whole person, have things in the head that need to be cleared out. They need to forgive. They need to release. They need to accept. They need to be more Christ-like, more God-like, and not hold toxins, mental toxins, emotional toxins in the body. And that can be the cause, the triggering cause of many significant major issues. Keep this in mind. Most significant problems are combinations of different triggers. You can have a mental trigger, you can have a chemical trigger, and some of them are from ignorance. Some of them are from false information. For example, last week I saw a lady who had a problem with her mid back. She had a disc problem. I sent her to the orthopod to get some work done, and they did a real simple procedure where the discs were too close together and pinching nerves. And they just went in and kind of filled it in with a glue-like spacer to open it back up, and did a good job and helped that area. But then the doctor lied to her and said the vertebra above and below will just get worse, and they will never heal. Bones don't heal. And she told me that. She said, well, my doctors told me that my bones would never heal. And I, with my loose mouth, said, he lied to you. Now, I have no idea what he really said. Sometimes doctors say things and patients hear different things. They compound it, so I don't really know. But what I had to tell her is, that's not true. You all know that if you break a bone, chances of healing are what? Good or bad? Good.
Stronger.
Bones heal. Bones heal. Bones heal better than ligaments.
Yes.
Bones heal better than tendons. Why? They have more blood. But you know, if you break a bone, you have 6 weeks for it to mend so you can use it. But it takes more than a year for the bone to get really back to being safe with normal function. So somebody had a question.
I had a thought, that's what they told me when I broke my back, is that the upper and the lower would get worse. Because of this stress on the, say, L3, L2 and L4 would become weaker.
And that's totally true. It's totally true, because when you have a disc injury, and it then over solidifies, or they fuse it, whatever, the body may form spurs. They call that arthritis, degenerative arthritis. The body will then make it stiffer. So then the range of motion requirement is passed on up and downward, so you get more wear and tear on them. So you have to be more careful until it all adapts and compensates, and that's a true statement. But they adapt and compensate. That's one of the physiological laws, is bones adapt to the stress they're under. Which brings up the question about tissue tolerance. Don't exceed tissue tolerance, ever. You know, when you came to see me first, I said to you, don't walk. You know, your knees were in such a bad shape. Any motion with weight was too much for the tissue. So the body heals. Okay, back to the handout. Starting at the top. Choose. Fundamental principles that are key to optimal wellness include, is an A or B choice.
A.
Belief in being divinely created in the image of a perfect being with inherent healing capacity. So let me ask you a question, if that's your choice. How solid is the body's capacity with divine design to heal?
100%.
100% is available to you all the time. In chiropractic, it's called, God is called the universal intelligence. In the body, your share of it is called innate. You have your share of the divine power is called innate intelligence. All forms of life have in them innate intelligence. My trees, my flowers, my grass, the bugs, the birds, the bees, they all have innate intelligence. For example, we talked about this yesterday in class when we were talking about salt, real salt, because that's another patient was told by the doctor, don't use salt. You have too much salt in the body, salt will hurt you. So she heard that word and said, I can never use salt. And we were talking about real salt. She said, I can't do that. Well, see, she's been deceived. You and I can't live. We cannot live without real salt. If we eat the proper nourished fruits and vegetables, we get it from them. But we don't get it from them anymore. So you have to go back to the real salt from the earth. And how long do you suppose it took God to make real salt in the earth? A couple hundred years? 1,000?
Quite a while.
Well, if it has to break down the minerals to incorporate into the salt, it would take a long, long, long time.
Longer than we can comprehend. And where is it? It's all over the world. My personal belief is the world is covered with clean water. And then was it dried up? The minerals solidified, and that, voila, we have, all of us have available to us real salt. So real salt on my sheet under chemical is a liquid. It's small. You don't have to put what I put, but I'll just tell you what it is. But under chemical, big rock, I put water. That's very, very important for the body. That's a key ingredient to the bucket. Small rock, protein. Protein is essential to build and rebuild tissue. Sand, I put carbohydrate and fat for fuel. We have to have fuel. Now, in our society today, we have a problem because we have a lot of people who have too much fuel, and not enough building material, so they're not balanced. And that creates a lot of problems. Now, while we're on the subject of putting things into the body, mentally, I'd like you to think of the triangle. The triangle. The one corner of the triangle, the chemical corner of the triangle, is made up of three things. What you put on and in your body. That's 1/3 of 1/3 of 1/3. Number two, how the stuff is used. Now, if you put in a lot of drugs in your body to treat symptoms, then you can eat perfect food and you can counteract it with things that are not good for your body. And number three, the last third of that corner is what comes out. Where you pee out, where you poop out, where you sweat out, where you breathe out. Most people have a breathing problem, especially after the recent problems we've had in our world. Some countries have a huge, major problem with air quality. We're very fortunate with air, with water. So back to that corner of the triangle. Chemical makes up about a third. Food intake makes up a third of a third. To a mathematician, what is a third of a third?
A ninth.
I was gonna say.
What?
1/9.
Not very much. Yeah, 1/9, not very much.
A bit.
That goes into your body. So when I make the statement to you, your physical structure, now we're in the structure corner of the triangle. Big rock is posture. So when I say to you, your posture is more important to your health overall than your diet, that's a true statement. It sounds weird, but it's a true statement. So when is your posture important? When you're laying down sleeping, or when you're sitting, when you're standing, when you're walking around? All the above. It's all important. So when you have repetitive micro trauma from poor posture, you're draining the bucket. And that's a big hole. It's a huge hole if you have head forward posture, more than a few inches. If you have a foot that flares because you're leaning to one side, that's a big problem because every step is trauma. Every step, the bucket goes down, 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 down. So with structure, posture is critical. That's a big rock. Number two, small rock. Motion. That's what I put. That doesn't mean it's yours. You need motion. And all joints. Remember, all joints, all of them, by divine design, fit snugly in to the bone that they come in contact with. And some bones, like your head and your feet, and the ribs, the vertebra, have multiple bones that they come into contact with. Like a vertebra. A vertebra is not just one on top of the other. The thoracic vertebrae have ribs that touch them. And the ribs touch them in two places. On the transverse and on the body. So every vertebra has multiple joints. They all need to be aligned. That's part of the reason people don't breathe properly, because their torso is torqued. They don't have their alignment proper. That's why the T-zone is so valuable to you. If the only thing you did was just stand with your feet together on the sat pad and your body worked and moved, it's going to create motion, balance, and then alignment. So the sand is balance. Motion, balance, and alignment. Where should the alignment be? In the feet or the head? Which is most important?
The whole thing.
Yeah, both.
Well, your body tries to keep your head aligned
Always.
all the while, and so you'll be crooked, but your head will be aligned.
Yeah. And your head, you have your eyes. Your eyes are trying to keep your head level. So your ears trying to keep your head level. So keep that in mind. By divine design, God put backup systems in all areas.
On the T-zone, you mentioned that when you keep your head straight, but you move your head, but you keep your eyes straight. Now, I interpreted that as keeping my eyes straight and moving my head. But then I thought, does that mean keeping them like this? So on the instructions, it said, head straight, keep your eyes front. So,
I think you could do both.
So it's okay to look at you and just keep moving my head,
Yes, that's an eye exercise.
okay? So if you have weak eyes or glaucoma or anything like that, would that help the eyes?
That helps some because
Some.
it will add motion. When you add motion, you add circulation, you add nourishment.
Okay, I've been diagnosed with glaucoma, and one of the things is pressure on your eyes, but does the cranial move help the pressure, or is this a different type of pressure? Is it coming from the blood vessels versus the?
The cranial motion,
Mhm.
the head should move every time you breathe.
But would that affect your eyes?
Yes, of course it does.
So would that help your eyes if you had glaucoma?
Yes, it does. Now,
Okay.
if you have it, we're talking about eyes and therapy, let me give you another one. If you have your T's on where you can look at a picture on the wall, this close. And you have a window so you can look outside your tree that's quite a ways away, or a house, or anything outside. You all know this. Your eye changes shape. Okay, that's very good for you.
Keeps it flexible.
Yes, and again, further, if you want to help your eyes, and you read in a book, bring it in so you see the best, and then turn it. So I may be able to read the close part perfect, but when I go that way, my eye works harder to try to adapt to the different distance. That's beneficial for the eye. You can also do out here, read in.
Mhm.
With the eye. If you're on the whole body vibration machine, you add value to all of it because of enhanced circulation. Okay, back to the sheet. Let's talk about mental, emotional, spiritual. So we go to choice A on number 1. Choice B is complete faith in the medical directive and total submission to the directive without questioning or understanding. Is that a choice?
It's a choice.
It could be. Oftentimes when people come see me, they've been living in that camp. They've been told what to do, like the lady that was here yesterday. She was told what to do. It was not true. She was deceived. Whether she was intentionally or by accident, it doesn't matter. What matters is what she accepted in her mind. Now, what you accept in your mind changes the power available to you. You said in it, the power, your belief in God. Now, right now, some of you are studying the New Testament and you're reading about Jesus and you're reading about all miraculous healings that he performed. Did he heal everybody?
No.
Why? Could he not heal them?
No, he could. He could.
But he didn't. Why?
They didn't believe.
Because they didn't believe. Now the same is true with you and I. What I tell you in my book is, the greater your belief in something that's true, the greater the power. Does that mean we could have miracles performed here and now, not in our own lives, without Jesus being there with us
Yes,
to touch us,
yes,
or us touch him?
yes.
The answer is yes.
And we're supposed to be expecting that. Greater miracles.
I depend on
Yeah.
depend on him, yes.
So some doctors throughout the world have collaborated, and they have created a log of stories of incidents
Of what?
of
A log.
spontaneous remission.
Spontaneous healing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
And-
good.
Yeah, from people who were told miracles, right? From people who were told they would never heal, they believed something different and did something different, and spontaneous healing occurred.
Interesting.
There's a website. They vlogged it, and it's available to anybody. The Spontaneous Remission Project, and it's that same thing. It's the belief in their body and faith in God that you can heal from.
See, and that whole concept is what one of the reasons that I have these classes. One of my goals is to help each of you enhance your faith in the divine power, so that you can get more healing, more complete healing. Now, that always brings up the question, and we talk about it intensely, is does that mean everybody's going to be healed, or do some of us have problems that cause us to have characteristics more like Jesus?
Well, that's the whole reason for the problem, is to help us become more like Jesus.
Yes, and some people, especially, this are being recorded. A lot of LDS people who have a problem and say that's my gift from God. And I think sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's not true. But when they believe it, they make it happen. I've treated a lot of people, and I know that some people have been blessed with a child or a spouse with a major problem. Because of the major problem that child or spouse had, they become much better people overall. From the amount of faith and the amount of service that's required for them, it humbles them. They learn a lot. I've said many times that, except for Denise, I've learned more from my kids than I've taught them.
Okay, I missed the last part of the greater the belief in something that is true, the greater the
Power.
power.
So was the big rock faith in God, and I've got in the second place? Emotional?
To me, I put belief in divine design.
That's the bit.
To me, that's a big rock. To me, that's a fundamental issue. And then I put, for me, a small rock, now this is me, a small rock would be forgiving unconditionally everybody. That's a big deal. My wife hangs out with some quilters, and they go to lunch and they talk like women talk.
Be careful. Be careful.
I think it's a good thing. I encourage my wife to go and be with them because she's a light to them. She's a positive influence for them because of her level of faith and her level of belief and her level of character. She always comes back saying, it amazes me how many of them whine about their spouse. It's very calm and that they do that. And they don't realize that that hurts them physically, personally, to do that. So that's why I say forgive everyone. Somebody told me yesterday, I'm gonna let God do the justice, because if I did it, I'd be in prison. I'll just be merciful. I'll forgive them all. I tell my wife occasionally, you have a wild card. You can, as far as I'm concerned, you can go with anything, because I'm going to forgive you, whatever it is.
Oh my God.
Okay, Denise, there's a story behind that.
No, it's just true for him. Like, it just is true for him. It's a, yep.
See, and I've had to learn that.
Yes.
I've had to learn that. I've had things happen in my life that, like you, like all of you, I think I've had my share, maybe part of somebody else's share too. And to be healthy, just forgive them all. Now, the liquid.
Sand.
Pardon?
Sand. Around sand.
Sand is love. Sand is love. Everyone. Now, you know, I texted Adam this morning and asked him if he was going to the big funeral in Memphis. If you watch the news, you know what the big funeral is about, right?
No.
No? Oh, you don't.
Talk about Presley?
Presley?
No. It was a black.
There was a black person.
All time.
It was beat up and essentially killed by 5 black police officers. And of course, there are signs all over the nation to do something big about that kind of thing. And if you look at the news media, they're not walking around with hearts and valentines and love and forgive. They want justice, you know, now. So, and I don't know if you get church news, but if you do, you know that right now the kingdom is helping people all over the world, of all nationalities, of all religions. They're very generous with what they have. They give more than $1 billion worth of help every year. Now, to me, I can't even comprehend $1 billion. That's going out to help people. So that's love everyone. And then liquid is having daily communication, two-way, with divinity, with divine design, with God, with the Father. You all have the right to have divine guidance in your life by the Holy Ghost. And I recommend that you capitalize on that gift. You can, when people ask me sometimes, "Doctor, you think I should have surgery?" I say, well, state it out, learn about it. I give them my opinion, you talk to the surgeon, talk to the doctors, but most of all, make a decision and talk to God. Same with having a baby at home. We had a couple of babies at home because it was the right thing to do. And then we went to the hospital because that was the right thing to do. It's not a right or wrong for all of us. We have to do our individual thing. And I honestly believe that you have the right to get the inspiration, and you have the right to receive a special blessing for your particular need. And I don't believe there's any problem that cannot be overcome if you have the right faith and the right power. And that's the power that made you. And the greater your belief, the greater the effect for you, the greater the positive effect. So this class was on the big rocks first. I recommend that you give some thought to it. So I gave you 2 sheets of paper. The second one was for you to maybe, if you want, spend some time and think about it. Maybe add some or change it where you personally right now. Because right now it's different than it was last year. It's going to be different next year. The lakes in the bucket, they come and go. Right? We all get energy in from the outside. Denise did a service project. I'm going to mention it on tape. She and her husband came over on Saturday and cleaned off my driveway and clean. Took a long time. She worked up a sweat, took off her coat. My bishop drove by and said, "Who is that nice lady in there?" And they're not your driveway. I thought, oh, it was an angel. We all have angels in our life. So, any final comments or questions from you?
Number 5 is all of those.
Pardon?
Number 5 is all of them.
All of them with one note. B, intensity. What is the modifier?
Tissue tolerance.
Tissue tolerance. Way to go. Does tissue tolerance fluctuate?
Yes.
Yes. Today it could be less than it was yesterday, or more. Thank you very much for your participation. And by the way, when you look at the schedule, I have one modification. On the week of February 20, it says 21 through 23. 21 and 23 are Thursdays. That's afternoon class. Wednesday, class is always at 10 o'clock. On the 22nd, Denise is going to be the teacher. Because Dr. Smith was invited to go with Audrey to a quilting machine class. And I accepted.
Nice.
So we're going to Arizona for a few days to have her upgraded on the quilting machine. So Denise is one of the best teachers I know.
Okay, the 22nd of February, right?
Yes,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Wednesday.
There will be no class on Tuesday or Thursday that week.
Are you going to record that?
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you, and thank you for referring your friends